Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. Now, the Obama administration had bailed out private equity landlords at the expense of the middle class, as a recent headline shows, and John is going to go into it because it goes far deeper than this. So John, take it away.
Well, what's interesting is, of course, before they left office, they left a whole bunch of bombs laying around, little minefield, around Trump before he got into office. And of course, this massive bailout bill, actually, that was legislated through the Obama administration. And, of course, the big hedge fund landlord BlackRock, which will go into detail what they've done here. Now, this is beyond stupidity of the government. Why would they even care about this whatsoever? They're basically bailing out the landlords here. They're not bailing out the any of the families or anybody that would have distressed mortgages or anything. And of course, they know that something is coming because, again, the real estate markets in so many places around the United States are up at record highs again.
Yeah.
And of course, people, some of the better, of course, people that knew real estate was in and buying up very low cost, properties that they gained a lot of value in, when the people actually then, give rent back to them and so on. So there was some, smart people that was in and bought up this. But of course, they kept buying this and kept buying it and buying it. And what's interesting, usually when things are about to hit the fan, they gotta, figure out a way to game the system to make some money. So, of course, what they do, and remember the mortgage-backed securities that, collapsed the whole not the monetary system, but
popped the bubble,
the real estate bubble, and then of course it crashed a whole bunch of pension funds around the world. Well, I think they're gonna do this again with this. This is a huge danger here. And
we've talked many times about the dangers of the housing market currently as it stands. We're seeing repeats of what we saw back in 2007 before the crash. And of course, we look at places like Toronto, Vancouver. The bubble is inflating like crazy. But of course, that doesn't leave out the United States either, because a lot of the same old practices are being put into play as they always have.
Yeah, no, and there's so many markets, there's too many to mention, that are starting to get really overvalued again in the United States.
Totally.
And some of them are the same old ones. But I'm going to go into the detail here, which is quite interesting. So what they did is they basically managed to take the rental housing that they had, which was basically 48,431 single-family homes. This is through a company called Innovation Homes, the 2012 buy-to-rent creature of private equity firm that BlackRock created. Now they're creating an IPO through this, but what it has done, they managed to get government guarantees of $1 billion on the rental home mortgage-backed securities. So there you go again, mortgage-backed securities. Remember what that was. So if you want to check it out, please check out the video that we did on derivatives and how dangerous they are with Stephen P. Kendall. There's a fantastic laydown of how exactly they work, so you'll kind of familiarize yourself. It's just rental homes now. It's not the mortgages anymore. It's actually the rent income that they just switched out with. But you can actually look this up yourself if you want to. There's an S11 filing. That is a link in the article that we're reading from here. And the IPO lists at $9.7 billion in single-family home properties and $7.7 billion is in debt. So that's quite high. That's quite high, actually. Some of this debt will, of course, be refinanced with the proceeds of the $1 billion in sale of this government-guaranteed rental home mortgage-backed securities, which they're going to send again to, whoever fool wants to buy these things. And it just repeats itself again. Now, the government agency that has agreed to guarantee the timely payment of principal and interest of these guaranteed certificates, as they are called, is Fannie Mae. Again, they're using Fannie Mae as a scapegoat here to try to hide that there's actually the landlords, the hedge fund BlackRock that are all behind this, and the government-sponsored entity, that's will be bailed out basically if this happens. So there's $1 billion that are secured now, that if they crash, they get bailed out again. There's no reason for people to create any good value anymore, because when they set up these bailout principles to corporations, of course they get involved in criminal activity because they know that they'll get the money no matter what. So they'll try to suck out every penny they can of that investment of everybody, because they securitize this and then they sell it, they get fees and money from that, and then of course they take that money back in again, and they make a whole a lot of different derivatives out of that, like we saw the rental home mortgage-backed security, as they call them. And then they sell them, and then these banks that buy them sell them again, and so on. So it's it's a massive line of buyers and sellers, and who the last will be to buy it and hold it when it crashes. That's going to be probably the fools at the big pension funds again, and we're going to see a lot of pension funds collapse again. This is just a very, very bad idea, and Donald Trump, of course, got screwed over with this because Mr. Obama and his great lackeys at the White House, they love to, make these terrible, terrible deals like Obamacare and others. So, it's going to look terribly when all of these systems, and of course they're getting repealed, some of them, but this one I don't think they can actually touch at all because it's set in stone.
And more importantly than Donald Trump getting screwed over, the American people got screwed
100%.
over. And it can be mind-numbing for a lot of people to look into exactly what you mentioned before, looking into what Stephen Kendall did with us about a year ago now on the derivatives. And I mean, it is mind-numbing, but he broke it down really well and explains it really well for those that aren't exactly in tune with all of this lingo. He did it really well. But John, what is the solution to this issue? Is there any solution? What does an individualist like ourselves, a voluntarist, do in order to get around this kind of insanity?
Well, first of all, we don't bail any of these idiots out. These criminals, as we can call them. They're definitely criminals because they're using the government, and of course the government are on their side because they probably get paid a little bit, on the side from, getting these filings and all this stuff in place, and then there's some buddy deals probably that happens on the one side. But of course, the only way you can get away from it is not investing in any of these derivative products. They're just terrible products that are made by the bankers to make money themselves, but then most people that buy them usually lose money. And we need to stop this derivatization of this massive financialization of the world's monetary system and how they used it. Like, these bankers have now created so many derivatives. This 1.5 quadrillion, as we talked with Rob Kirby and what he's looked at lately, and other people have said the same. $1.5 quadrillion. That's
more than the amount of money in the world.
Well, there's the debt. The total GDP is 280 some. I forgot the exact number, so don't get me on that. But it's 5 to 8 times more derivatives out there than there's actually produced wealth in the world. Yeah. That should just scare you like shitless, because this is what's going to unwind. And it was only a tiny little bit that brought the whole system down. It was $13 billion. Now, this is only $1 billion, but there is $1.5 quadrillion, all these derivatives out there.
Which makes sense considering the kind of insane globalist central planners that are in charge of the central bank system throughout the world, and the governments as well. And it's to no surprise that they are doing something nefarious in order to, give buddies a payoff while ripping off the American people. And, of course, the ESF's involvement in this.
Of course, like, government-sponsored entities are, of course, getting secured and funded under the war chest slush fund, the exchange stabilization fund that they use, and they will use that, to pay out their buddies again, at Wall Street and so on. But you got to remember, the Federal Reserve itself, which controls the exchange stabilization fund, is owned by Wall Street, so they basically own the treasury and everything. And of course, with Mnuchin,
and private entity, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's all privately owned. It's has nothing to do with the government whatsoever. The Federal Reserve.
They dictate what the government does and says.
They own the money supply and they create the money. The thing is, we need to stop these guys from basically selling out our world and destroying our world. They are just creating all these different tools and derivatives. So, like, the reason why they created derivatives is so they needed to make more money on top of what they had before, because they have inflation that they create with the monetary system. So now they have to make more and more and more. And of course, when they create these derivatives and go up and buy things with the new money, before inflation hits, they always win, because inflation goes up and then they have new assets that they then can sell, back. So it's just a cycle of these guys gaming the system. And this has happened like so many times before, like with the French Revolution and of course the Mississippi bubble and others, where these bankers create bubbles like crazy, and then they always make money on those little fees and the interest that is getting paid back. That's how the banks run the world, because they run the monetary systems in the world, and that's how they make themselves ultra wealthy. Look at Lord Blankfein and Jamie Dimon, the two head banksters in the world. They are billionaires, and bankers has never been ultra wealthy, because they used to be a service to the people and not, of course, ripping off people and taking their money and manipulating the systems.
Absolutely, and it's terrifying what they are really up to. If the American people, if the people of the world knew exactly what they were up to, there would be torches at these banks, there would be torches on the steps of Capitol Hill. But it's just important to wrap it up in this sense that because there are ridiculous regulations in place and laws in place, it's important for us to say that it's our opinion and not legal advice, not financial advice. But it's important to point out what we believe to be facts, which are facts, and it's not just us, pulling things out of nowhere. This is well researched.
Yeah, and we've done, our like I've done about 8 years of research, so I have a little bit of a understanding of things and how they work now.
Yeah.
So
he's done about 8 years of research into the financial system, the monetary system. I myself have done about 10 years of research into the political, individualist system, civil liberties, and so on. So it's important to remember that people need to listen to different voices from all different sides, but this is well researched and this is factual. You can look into it yourself and you will see.
Look at the securities filing and you'll find all the information you want if you like to look at details.
Absolutely. Well, again, it's mind-numbing, but I'm glad that you went over this and explained it in the way that you did. And, just to wrap it up, we have to stand for ourselves as voluntary free individuals and stand up against this insanity. Thanks again, John, for bringing this to us. And you can check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated. And, of course, I will be seeing those of you who are coming out to ANARCHAPULCO in Acapulco, Mexico very soon, next week. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there if you do come out. What you wanted to say?
Drain the bankster swamp.
Drain the bankster swamp. There's one way of looking at it. So we'll get back at you with much more. This is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth,
be the change.